Hello and welcome back to the channel with me, the Orienteering Kid, where today we're back in Gammelby for the final day of the Swedish Forest Cup. Yes, we are back here on our final day in the Swedish forests, and honestly I am kind of sad that this is ending. I think it's been a very fun week that Christian has set for us. I've enjoyed all of it. If this is the first video you are seeing, all the previous events are found on the Tempo Simulator, the link to which can be found in the description of this video, and also you'll find this video as part of a playlist for all the other events, so make sure you give those a watch as well. But yeah, with this being our last day, we have been improving throughout the week. I definitely started off finding it quite hard, but I think they've got a bit easier as we've gone, so hopefully today it's going to be our best one yet, but we will have to see once we've taken part. So let's just jump straight into it with the Swedish Forest Cup section of the simulator, and we're down to the final day of day 9, which for this we are back to the 1 to 2500 map with 5 meter contours, and there are 4 stations as with most of the days, with the 60-second penalty unchanging and the 4 meter no side problem still there for the zero tolerance. As we've been told for the other 3 times we've been in this area, it was originally a 1 to 15,000 map, mapped in 1988, and so there may be a couple of things which are slightly out, but we just have to remember that as we do it. And also the pictures are generally 120 degrees in viewing angle, which is a lot wider than normal human vision, and so we will be able to see more of the area than we would normally see. So that may again look like things are in the wrong place, however we just have to remember that that is the picture. As always, my answers will be appearing in the top right hand corner of the screen, so you can see exactly what I'm putting at the moment that I do, correct or wrong with the black and red letters as well. And yeah, with that, let's just go straight into the final day of the Swedish Forest Cup. And here is Station 1. Okay, hill by Bravo, that's going to be the bare rock potentially out the back. Is that the hill? Can I believe that's the hill? You know what, I reckon that's probably the hill of... That could be the hill of Foxtrot actually. No, with Foxtrot. So if that's the hill, that's the knoll. Spur looks like it could be Echo. I think so. That is the wrong crag. I think that knoll... That knoll's got to be Delta, and that hill on the... I can believe that's Bravo. And I think that was actually quite an interesting station to bring us in on. I think I may have got it all right as well. I think that first task was quite difficult, as I originally was going with Bravo as it was on top of a hill, but then I saw the hill north of the hill that we wanted and saw that it had a hill as well as a knoll and a crag round it, and that looked a lot better as the Bravo hill with Alpha on the crag and Delta on the knoll. And then I worked my way back and saw that actually the answer to this one could be Foxtrot, so I did go with it, so hopefully that is right. And then things started to work out. The third task I paused for a second just to check, but we did go to another hill that looked very similar to the hill with Alpha and Bravo on it, and had a very similar crag, so I won't be surprised if quite a lot of you did go with Alpha, but I think that was another good parallel error. I don't know if we could see our standing location on the map though for that one, but I still think it was clear. And yeah, I don't think that was too bad a station at all, so we'll just go on to the next station of the day, which is Station 2. Okay, there's some crags by Bravo, some boulders or hills there. That could... I'm looking at that being that hill, so Charlie on the knoll, that seems to fit. So those crags, northeastern foot, northeast is that way, that's got to be Echo. That down there on that knoll, I can actually believe that's Alpha. Yeah, I'm going with that. The marsh there fits as Delta. That crag is definitely the wrong crag. And that crag is Foxtrot. And that was actually another good station. I did enjoy that one a bit. It did take me a small while to get a proper grasp of it, but I think that was just because of the 120 degree photo. We could see more than I was expecting, and things didn't quite look at the right angle, but then I saw everything fitted, so I was happy with that one. We have the knoll of Alpha, and we also had a similar trick on a crag going to the left hand side of the photo than with Station 1, and I think that was a good zero, but I think all the others seemed to match up, and Delta was definitely in the correct place to be the marsh. So I I am very confident with that, and we will just move on to the next station of the day, which is station 3. Okay, crag potentially running between Alpha and Bravo, Foxtrot on the hill at the back, that's the crag. That could easily be Bravo, I'm going to go with it. That hill out there, so that's got to be the small hill. That's really got to be Foxtrot, hasn't it? That hill there, or that re-entrant, actually has to be Delta. I believe that is the wrong knoll, and that is Charlie. And there's definitely the potential for a parallel error there, because I thought Foxtrot and Echo were going to be on the hill and the elongated spur, but maybe Foxtrot was on the elongated spur and Echo on the knoll next to it. However, I think Foxtrot looked too big to be an elongated knoll, and I think it was clearly the hill, so I am happy with that one. Other things seem to fit. I think what helped me straight away was seeing the crag pointing towards Bravo on the first knoll from the crag, so I was happy to position myself using that, and everything else seemed to fit. With the re-entrant of Delta as well, that was good, and I am actually very confident with this. I think this is going well, and so we will now move to the final station of the day, which is station 4. Okay, there's the path that's going to be the anchor. Bravo's out the back there. Okay, that's Foxtrot down there. Okay, that's got to be that triangle. I think that's the boulder. I think that's that boulder there. Yeah, if that's the spur, that would work. Oh, and I think that's the spur of Echo. That crag there, it's only going to be Alpha. I think it kind of has to be Alpha. Then with Alpha. Bravo at the back, is that on the boulder rather than the crag? I think it kind of has to be, and that is the hardest task of the day by far, but I think that's Delta. And that is definitely the station I'm the least confident on. It did take me over a minute, so we will have to look back on it, but I think that was the hardest station of the day. Let's go have a look at the stations from the start though, and this was a very interesting task to bring us in on, and I did like it a lot though, because what I saw here was we want a hill, Bravo is on the top of a hill, but then I saw that there is a crag on the other side of the hill, and for this to be orientated correctly, the crag of Alpha is actually meant to be on the western side of the hill instead of the eastern side. So I then had a look to see what other areas we could be in, and then I saw the hill up here with the crag and the hill of Bravo and the knoll of Delta, and in seeing whether that fits, there could easily be a marsh to the left hand side of Alpha, and there is a rocky face being the crag over here, so I'm very happy that I've placed all those kites. But where actually is this location now? Well, you can see we go down to this form line, which I'm presuming is the re-entrant here, and lines up with the spur of Echo, which you can just see on this map, and then the next hill we come to is the Foxtrot hill, so I am very confident to say that that one is Foxtrot. Taking me 20 seconds to get there, I don't think that's an issue, and yeah, that one should be Foxtrot. And then we move out to the spur, which I did recognise before, and so that one is going to be Echo, although that did take me a small bit of time to get to. However, following on from the hill knoll, Echo is on the spur, so I think I'm fairly confident that that one is Echo. And then if you watch the map, suddenly it all changes, and if you're not focusing properly, this crag could look like the one we were looking at before. However, if you look down here, this is the hill we're actually on, with the crag, the hill and the knoll and the spur, and so the crag that we actually want is miles in the distance over there, and so this one is definitely a 0. However, I wouldn't be surprised if quite a lot of you put Alpha thinking that Bravo is on the knoll, and that does seem to fit quite well. But I'm happy with that one being a 0. I think that's a lot clearer now. And then for the final two tasks, we come to the knoll that we've said Delta is on, and then across to the top of the hill, and that one should be Bravo, as Charlie, I believe, is on the contour below, so he's too far away, and Bravo is definitely offset from the top of the hill on the eastern side. And so I don't think I have got anything wrong with that station. I think that was a good station to bring us in on. I like the first task being Foxtrot, and I think quite a lot of you might have got that one wrong. We will have to see afterwards. And then we go on to station 2, and I did like this station as well. However, I was expecting these two to be mapped as boulders, however it turned out to be crags. But how do we actually tell that this answer is Echo, because that is what I put? Well, what I did see was a knoll and another elongated knoll with a crag running down the back of it, and then I saw a crag here with Bravo and a knoll here with Alpha, with potentially a crag to the left hand side of it as well. And if you look here, it looks like a slight different orientation, but that's mainly just because of the wide angle photo. But you do have a knoll, an elongated knoll with a crag behind it, so Charlie is about here, and then you come down the crag with Bravo on it to the next knoll of Alpha. So I was very happy that this was all in the right place. We then work our way round past Delta, which I believe is in the marsh, and then come to these two, which must be the two crags here, and we want the southern one, which is the furthest one away from us, and we want the northeastern foot of it. And to me that is very clearly where Echo is, but I can see that that was quite hard to get to, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of you just zeroed that because you didn't really know what fitted with it. But I do think all the clues were there to find it. And then we come round to the left hand side, and we want the knoll, which we have already said has Alpha on it. There was just a small debate whether Alpha is actually on the knoll or the hill back there, but I think it's in line with this crag, and there is another bump back there, so I think that one is the hill instead, putting Alpha on the top of the knoll, so I'm happy with that one being Alpha. And then we come back to the marsh, which we have talked about, wanting the south part of it, and I think Delta is very clearly there in the correct place with these two crags as well, so I'm very happy with that one being Delta. And then we go out to the left hand side, and some of you not focusing would have put Bravo. However, in knowing that Alpha was the answer to the second task on this knoll, we're going even further to the left of Alpha, and so no kites can be there, and so that is definitely a 0. However, some of you doubting yourself potentially might have thought Charlie was on the knoll and Bravo's on the crag below it, so I wouldn't be surprised if quite a lot did put Bravo. And then we move to the northern of the two crags we started on, and I think this one is probably very clearly Foxtrot, although because of the symbol just crag, I would have potentially wanted it halfway between the ends of the crag, and so actually on the corner. Now this is describing halfway between this edge instead, and I can believe that is definitely where Foxtrot is. However, with just that control description, I would have put it there. The centre of the circle does confirm we want it halfway along this edge though, so I'm happy with that one being Foxtrot. And I do think that is another clean station for me. I think that was potentially slightly harder to grasp than the first station, especially since it got a bit easier after the first task for station 1. So if you did manage to get most of those right, I think you have done a good job there. And then moving on to station 3, the first thing I saw here, as well as there being a load of bumps and rock, is this is probably going to be a crag. And so when we come here and there are a load of bumps around and there is one crag there, I was very confident to say that that is the crag we can see here. I think it's definitely potentially passable, so it has got the smaller line and not going to be one of these thicker ones around. It could be this one, but there aren't enough bumps around it to be that, and the contour going round seems to fit this side at least. So I was very happy to say that this one is the correct crag, and so in not really identifying any of the other kites, I looked at the first bump that we could see pointing at the crag, and that does look directly where Bravo is. So I am confident that that one is Bravo. And then in using that, we then have to go out to a hill on the right hand side, and this is where it took a bit more thought, but I think coming from around here, we go round the contour, and as we follow this contour up, it's going to sort of curve behind Charlie, and so that's where this bump is going to be, about here. We'll come to that in a minute. And then we come round to the elongated knoll of Echo, so is on this knoll here, and then this much bigger thing here is going to be the hill, and Foxtrot does seem right at the top of it. So I am confident that one is Foxtrot, even though it took me the longest in this station to get to. However, we then come to a re-entrant in front of us, and I think looking at this crag, we're coming down and to the right, and so the only option here is Delta, and the area does go a lot lower here, looking like a re-entrant, so I was very happy to say this one was Delta. I think that is a lot clearer than the previous task. However, because it's right at the front of the photo, you may not have seen the detail properly, so I wouldn't be surprised if a few zeroed that. And I also wouldn't be surprised if quite a lot of you put Echo for this one, but I think in knowing that Foxtrot is the hill, Echo is going to be on the elongated knoll next to it, and so the knoll we want is again further to the left, and probably through there potentially, and so is definitely a 0. And then we come forward to this hill, and I think in using where Delta was in the re-entrance, the next hill up is going to be where Charlie is. It is only a form line, so it's not going to be massive, and it does seem to fall back a bit further behind it, so I'm fairly confident to say that one is Charlie. That's the least confident one for me in this station though, but I think all the clues seem to add up to being Charlie, so I will stick with that. And overall I think that was potentially an easier station for today, like the previous two. However, it did rely on spotting a few things like the crag, for example, so if you didn't spot that you may have struggled a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are some lower percentages in that station. However, we then come to what I think was the hardest station of the day, being station 4, and I was struggling a bit with this. As you can see, this is my longest time. It took me twice as long as the previous station, but with this first task what I originally saw was the black triangle here of the boulder field, and that is quite close to the path. So where can that be? Well, the only place following this curve around it could be on the photo is where Charlie and Delta are here, and in seeing that, the boulder we want is only going to be slightly to the left of Charlie and Delta, and Bravo is a long way to the left of Charlie and Delta, and so it can't really be any of the kites. In spotting the actual location, I think I did. It's a boulder back there, you can see in the magnifier, and so I think this one is a 0. That required spotting the one specific detail though, and then things did seem to follow from there as we went out to a spur, and in going to the right hand side of the boulder field, the first spur looking thing we come to is where Echo is. However, if you look at Foxtrot, that could also be on a spur. When looking at it though, there are two spurs here, the one we want and the one further to the right of it, and I think those are what Echo and Foxtrot are on, with Echo on the one we want and Foxtrot on the one further to the right. So I am pretty confident that that one is Echo, and I'm going to stick with that. That does seem to work quite well. And then we come off to the left, and I sat here for a while debating whether this was Alpha or 0, as Alpha is a long way to the left hand of the photo and we can only see one crag, and I think this is probably what defines it. We can only see one crag, and if Alpha is going to be on this crag down here, we will be able to see another crag to the right hand side of Alpha, which we can't really see. I think that could potentially be a crag there. However, I also think the shape of the contour works here. There is a sharp corner between these two crags, and there doesn't really seem to be one there. That could be potentially the wide angle photo throwing it a bit, but I'm fairly happy that that one is Alpha. I may be wrong though, we will see afterwards, but I'm sticking with that. And then we go out to a boulder. If we follow the contour around from where Alpha was, we hit another crag and then the boulder, and so the only option really here is Bravo, as we're going to the left hand side of the two boulders to the left of Charlie already. And looking through there, Bravo could be on a boulder, but distinguishing this between the boulder and the crag is quite hard. However, I think the crag is probably here. You can see the corner potentially. I know it's not quite clear enough for my liking, but I think I can just about see a corner in the contour there, and if you look here, there is a corner where the crag starts. So the crag is going to start about there and work its way along to there where it drops off a bit, and then it goes back up to the boulder. So I am fairly happy to say that that one is Bravo. However, I may be wrong and that might be the crag. I can't see another boulder to the right hand side though. I can see some double trees there. That's potentially a bit of photo distortion. However, I do think Bravo is on the boulder, and so I'm happy with that one being Bravo. The final task though was the most ambiguous, even though it was my second quickest task, as we want the south side of the boulder field. And looking at them, Charlie and Delta are both kind of on the south side of the boulder field. Just which one is the correct answer? And I now think I'm swaying closer towards Charlie, because that's really all the boulder field there, and I think Charlie's on the south side rather than Delta being on the southeast side. So I think I might have just ended the day on a mistake, and I think that one might be Charlie. So yeah, I think that is one mistake to end the day on, and that is why I do think this station was the hardest, because there was just little tricks like that. Only seeing one crag to base Alpha on, that could be the boulder or the crag, and then here being Charlie and Delta picking the right side. However, I do think this was a very good day. That takes me to a score of 231, which I am very happy with. With me thinking that today was very hard, I don't think there's going to be many people at all with no errors. We will have to see that afterwards, but I think Christian has definitely done a great job rounding off this week-long series with a really tough but enjoyable event, and I definitely feel like I've improved from previous days, because some of the tasks were similar to tricks he pulled in previous days, and I think I got them right rather than wrong. So with that, let's go and have a look at my current position in the overall standings, and you will see I am in 5th, and that currently is my best position of the week. I am doing this fairly early on. We've got another 8 hours to go, so I may drop below 8th, which was my highest position previously, but we will have to see how that goes, and I will join you again afterwards for the overall results. And we are back for the final time this week, and you can see that I haven't actually slipped any places like I kind of thought I would. We are still in 5th with 171 seconds and no mistakes. I thought I maybe got the last one wrong, but it does turn out I did get it right. So I am very happy with that to finish off this week. Firstly, well done to Makia for winning today's event by 9 seconds. Again, like previous days, it does seem like the top two were out there on their own with a fairly big margin between them and the 3rd place. So well done to the both of them for doing so well. In terms of where Makia won the event though, it definitely looks like it was in station 4, as George was ahead after 2 stations. Makia clawed it back a small bit in station 3, but then did station 4 16 seconds quicker than George, taking the win at that point there, so very well done to him. Let's go and have a look at the station percentages then, and with station 1 it's looking fairly green to start with, but it's looking like this 3rd task is going to be the worst answered here, and it actually isn't, with it being the 2nd worst task with 60%. 434 went with 0 and 260 went with Alpha. This was the one where we moved to a different hill, and so definitely was a 0. However, the hill looked very much like the first hill we were working with the knoll and the spur on top as well, and the crag was almost identical to the Alpha crag, so I'm not really surprised. Quite a lot for Alpha, but I think it was clear that we did move to a different hill, so well done if you did manage to spot that. However, this first task was the worst answered, with 431 people going with Foxtrot, 104 going with 0 and 134 going with Bravo. I can agree that Bravo was a viable answer when I was first looking at it, but then I noticed the hill up the map from the hill we wanted had more of the features we want on it, and so it couldn't be Bravo. It's just between Foxtrot and 0, and it does turn out that most of you who realised that went with Foxtrot. So very well done for doing that. But actually this station wasn't too badly answered at all, and I think most of you got most of them right, so very well done if you managed that. And then we go on to station 2, and it is looking very green again, possibly a bit greener, and there doesn't really seem to be any specific wrong answers, and really the percentages here are very high. I think that's a sign that it was an easier station. Maybe this first task was the hardest, with it being the lowest percentage and there being quite a small spread of wrong answers here, being Alpha to Delta and even 0 being the most common wrong answer, with 99 people putting it. However, 517 did notice it was Echo, so well done if you did manage that, and I think the rest of the station did come together quite nicely from there, so I don't think we really need to go over much in station 2. And then we go on to the 3rd station, and it's already looking like this 3rd task is going to be the worst answered here, and it is the first task today where we've gone below 50%, with 30% of you, or 218, realising it was a 0, but 429 went with Echo. I am fairly surprised with this, since 2/3 of you did manage to get the 2nd task right of Foxtrot, and I think if you used that and trusted that, you would have got the answer to 34 correct. However, it looks like some of you might have been doubting your answers to 32, and so put Echo instead of 0, but I think Echo was definitely on the wrong knoll, and we will see that as we go back. But again, the rest of the percentages here are fairly high, so I think we don't have to go over much there because you all did so well. And then we go on to station 4, and as we're scrolling it looks like there's a bigger spread of wrong answers, but maybe it's the first 3 that are going to be the lower ones. I don't think the last 2 are as bad, and really they are, with the first 3 being in the 50% and the last 2 being in the 70%. So with this first one it was 57%, or 418 of you realising it was a 0, but 129 went with Charlie, and there were a couple for some of the other answers as well. To me, Charlie was a good candidate, and so was Delta, to be honest, being on rocks, but I think they were definitely on the black triangle, and so the boulders we wanted were just off to the left, but not so far to the left like Bravo was. So again, I'm not surprised some people put Bravo, but we will have a look at that when we go back. And also the 2nd task with 412 going with Echo, but 176 went with Foxtrot. To me, Foxtrot was on the spur to the right hand side of the one we wanted, with Echo on the one that we did want, and I think that was slightly clearer, even though it was quite a long way in the distance. So I'm not really surprised there were quite a few of you that did put Foxtrot, but we will have a look at that one again. And also this 3rd task with it being Alpha, 411 people, or 56% of you went with Alpha, but 106 went with Bravo and 177 went with 0. I'm quite surprised by the Bravo one, because Bravo was quite a long way away from the path, and we wanted a crag that was close to the path, so I ruled out Bravo pretty quickly. It was just between Alpha or 0. However, However, I'm not really surprised there were quite a few zeros there, because it was hard to tell which crag Alpha was on. So we will go back and look at that one as the last task we look at. However, the final two tasks were very well answered, so even if you didn't get the first parts of the station right, it does look like you finished the day with two very well answered tasks, so well done if you did manage to get those right. And so now we'll go back and have a look at those slightly less well answered tasks of the day. We don't actually have any of my mistakes to look at, which is rare with some of these events. And with the first station, I'm not really surprised that this first task wasn't too greatly answered, because I think it was a similar trick to what we had on day 3, where the feature that we wanted was at one side of the photo, and we couldn't really use any of the detail on the right hand side of the map because we can't see it. But the clues were there. I can agree that quite a lot went with Bravo, however this crag doesn't seem to match up, as there definitely is a crag to the right hand side of Bravo, but there is a crag to the left hand side of Bravo, and if you look further up the map you spot that area. And so this must be the Alpha to Echo hill, wherever they are on that at the moment. And so in working backwards, some of you might have thought that Foxtrot was on this, thinking it was a spur. However, it is definitely a re-entrant down here in this sort of shape, and then we go up the hill and it's the first hill we reach, and Foxtrot is definitely on the top of that hill. So I was happy to say that one was Foxtrot. I think 2/3 of you definitely were. It did take me almost half the station to get to that point, but I do think it was worth taking the extra time to sort that out. And also this zero, I can see why quite a lot of you have gone with Alpha, because the hill looks similar to the hill that we were on before, and so does the crag. However, I can also believe you put Alpha thinking that our standing point is definitely going to be on the map. However, it's not in this case, as we are stood all the way down here, and technically this shouldn't be the case, as we should always be able to see our standing location on the map, and you may have thought we were actually stood here, as that was on the map for the first and second task as well. However, I don't think it was too much of an issue that we couldn't see the standing point on it, because the first two tasks definitely helped to place us quite well. So it was clear that we had to be on this hill to start with, and this was definitely a zero on the wrong hill. So in short, I can see why quite a lot put Alpha, but it is clearly just a parallel feature and definitely a zero. However, I don't think those two tasks that we just went through were too badly answered at all, so well done if you did manage to get them right. With station 2 then, it was really only this first task which people got wrong, because I think the rest of the station managed to fit quite nicely from there, and I can agree that originally I saw Echo and Foxtrot on two boulders. However, they are mapped as two crags, and I can also agree that they could be crags. We obviously have to be adaptable with how we read the terrain, because the map is just one person's interpretation of the area. It may not be our own, but there are definitely a lot of clues, especially this flat area here with the marsh. I think that definitely points out the area well, and if we go off to the left you can see it descends down some consoles and crags, and that is what we get on the left hand side. So even if we haven't placed any of the kites on the left hand side yet, we can agree that Echo and Foxtrot are on these two crags. Some of you may have read the control description, gone with Southern, and read the centre of the circle wrong and thought we were going for Foxtrot rather than Echo. However, I do think this one now, pointing out all the different things, is definitely a lot clearer as Echo. So well done if you did manage to get that one right, and again the rest of the station was very well answered, so well done for getting those right as well. With station 3 then, again there was only really one task which people got wrong, and it was this fourth one. And if you were doubting your answer to 32, I can agree that what Foxtrot's on could look like the elongated knoll, and Echo is actually on this knoll here. However, the area that Foxtrot is on is surely way too big to be a knoll, and so looks like it's definitely the hill instead, putting Echo on the elongated knoll and this knoll having no kites on it at all. For further clarification, you can also see, as we said before, the contour that comes down here and points towards the knoll we actually want, so being one behind the trees round here and definitely a zero. But well done if you did manage to spot that, and again the rest of the station was very well answered. So I think we were definitely getting a lot more used to the terrain by this point, and that was definitely shown in the answers that you gave. And then finally with the station 4, the final two tasks were very well answered, so I think you just about managed to get a grasp of the map from there. It's just these first three, and I can agree that Bravo, Charlie and Delta all look like viable options for the correct answer here. However, in looking at the map, we have the path coming round here, and then we have this black triangle of a boulder field. And so in looking at the first rocks that come from the path, that must be these Delta Charlie rocks, and you can see they continue back there. So the boulder field is all of this area here. And then we want the next set of boulders to the left of that, which are these massive ones here. Again though, I'm not surprised there were a few Bravos, as it does look like it's on a boulder. However, it is a long way to the left hand side in a normal photo, let alone an 120-degree angle photo. So this one was definitely on the boulders down there, and definitely a zero. Well done if you managed to spot that. And then this one over here was definitely between Echo and Foxtrot, but there were a few ways to tell. For example, if Foxtrot is on the spur that we actually want, then there isn't going to be a spur between the boulder field and the spur we want. However, what is Echo on? It definitely looks like it's on a spur, so it can't be Foxtrot. The other thing here is that Echo is on a higher spur than Foxtrot, and so with Echo being on this spur, Foxtrot is actually on this form line spur down here. And with it being form line, it's not a full contour, so it is going to be slightly lower than this spur, and another reason it's Echo, not Foxtrot. Why it's Echo, not Zero though, if you look at the ground here, it is very flat until you go up to Echo, and with this there are no contours until you go up to the contour of Echo. So Echo is going to be on this first contour we reach, and not, for example, on the form line behind it. And so with all those facts coming together, that one definitely looks a lot better as Echo now, rather than Foxtrot or Zero. So well done if you did manage to put Echo there. And then the last task we have to talk about here is 43 being Alpha or Zero. And I can really agree with all the zeros here. Alpha is definitely on a crag. We don't know which crag it is, and there could easily be a crag just there. However, again, looking at the contours like we did before, there is a sharp corner here, and there isn't a sharp corner here. It kind of bends round quite gently, like to the northwestern side of this crag, and so Alpha will be on this crag, not the one below it, and it's definitely on the northwestern part, northwestern being the northwestern end and the bottom. And so that one is a lot clearer as Alpha, and so well done if you did manage to put Alpha that one. I think that was quite a hard task in a hard station to finish off the week. However, you did manage to get the final two tasks right, so I think by then you had a good grasp of the map, so very well done for doing that, and well done for finishing today's event and also getting through all 9 days in this tough Swedish forest. It has been very good fun, and I have really enjoyed all the problems that Christian has set, but now it's time for the important bit of finding out who has won the overall results for the week. And firstly, you can already see the results there, but it is going to shoot me down to my position, and I finished in 61st. After my 5th place today, I am very happy with that. I wasn't really expecting to be in the top 100 after the first few events, but it does seem like I was able to improve and have pulled it all the way back to 61st, so I am very happy with that one. But in terms of who won overall, it is a very big congratulations to Severin for winning by over 9 points. He took the lead after 3 events and held it for the rest of the series, so very well done for him for doing so. That is a great achievement. And then we have Antti in 2nd place with Alessio 2 points behind him in 3rd place, and then just out the medal positions we have Tapani and then Tobias in 4th and 5th. So very well done to all of them for placing in the top 5. I think you are all very deserving in doing so. In terms of the clubs then, we have, by no surprise, Massey taking the lead by 50 points in the end, with MTV Season in 2nd place and Endok being just over 30 points behind them. Now Massey have just won every event since I started recording these videos, and I think they're showing how formidable a force they are in the Trailer community. So very well done again to them for winning. I think that's very well deserved. And then after the medal positions, we also have Turin in 4th place, and then USV Gina coming in at 5th place right at the end of the week. So very well done to them as well for doing so. And again, well done to everyone who finished in the top 5. You are all as well deserving as the competitors. And then finally, with the countries, the Finns have managed to hold on to a lead, but it's only just under 80 points here to finish off, with the Swedes coming in 2nd place, showing that for these Swedish events the Scandinavian countries definitely took charge. And then the Italians have come in 3rd place, about 30 points behind the Swedes. So very well done to those 3 countries for coming in the medal positions. We also had the Germans about 40 points behind the Italians in 4th, and the Polish behind them in 5th. So well done to all of them. Again, they're as deserving winners as the competitors and the clubs. And I think it is again well done to you for finishing all 9 events. If you haven't taken part in any of them, they are still up on the simulator. They'll always be up for you to have a go at whenever you come across this video. And I think it is definitely a big thank you to Christian for planning all 9 of these events, and for Anna, Cecilia and Libor for advising him. As I do keep saying, it has been an absolutely amazing week. I feel like I've learned quite a lot about Forest Trailer, specifically in Sweden, from it, and I look forward to going back there in the future, either virtually or in person. But I do think Christian has definitely delivered on his promise for the week, where if you can't bring the people to the forest, you have to bring the forest to the people. And with that, that does bring us to the end of this series of videos. Thank you again for watching them all. If you would like to like the video, as always, and subscribe to the channel, it just makes sure you get notified whenever I release a video, although if you're not getting those notifications, you might have to hit the bell next to the subscribe button and click all. And also be remembering to share these videos. We've got the Taurus Trophy and then the Taurus Cup coming up over the next month. It's going to be an exciting month of Trailer, again like the previous 2, and so make sure you are sharing the simulator and these videos with your orienteering friends so they don't miss out. And then finally, be commenting down below below, as you always are doing, with any extra comments you have for this video, either analysis wise or extra things you want me to add in future videos. And so with that, I will see you in a couple of days time for the next round of the Taurus Trophy.